Hey, how's it going? It's the Polk here. Welcome back to our Land Fang playthrough. I've spent a little bit of time looking over the economy and the state of things with Land Fang, and you know, we're not that great of a situation, but I'm hoping to rectify that. So, like I said, I spent a few minutes looking at everything, and I think I can dig us out of this hole. Um, so obviously debt's an issue. We have low taxes. There was a war that happened. I mean, look at the population. So the famine really messed us up, and that was a result of stuff going on in China, right? So that's a whole problem in and of itself, and that's something we're going to try to get out of by around the 1900s. I'm still going to piggyback off of China and hopefully get a bunch of population from them to kind of solve that issue that we have here. Item number two, radicals. We want to bring those down because right now that's affecting our GDP, which also, if you, it's terrible because of these wars, and so we want to bring this back up. Another issue I was noticing is I am spending most of my authority on like social mobility, road maintenance, all that stuff. I think I'm gonna go ahead and start doing things so that we're not sitting here forever doing nothing. I'm gonna leave violent suppression on, but I'm gonna take road maintenance and I'm gonna take social mobility off. And in exchange, I'm gonna also cancel this. I'm gonna start charging for services, and we're gonna do opium, and that'll get us just a little bit more money and not affect too many people, hopefully. Additionally, I'm gonna bump these taxes up to mid so that we're bringing this down. I did the math on it, and I think with our current credit limit, even at 7K, it would have taken 25 months, and that's a key number there because if we look at our current debuffs, we declared bankruptcy 23 months ago, and that's giving us a 9% loan interest rate. So in about a year, we're going to get 10% of that debt interest knocked off, right? So there's that. Then I also noticed that looking at the budget, we're spending quite a lot of money on government buildings, and the main course of that would be actually a university. So I'm going to drop the universities out for the time being, just because that'll save us a good bit of money. Um, did it not? Did it kill another building that wasn't the university? Ah, I think it killed one of the. I see. I'm not really a fan of how this game sometimes like shifts things as you're clicking. You know, you click it once and it shifts buildings around because of whatever metric they're using to organize it. But either way, um, so that sucks that that just happened. Um, but we'll roll with it. I'm not big on like save scumming and reloading. As you'll find out, I could have played this better. I could have reloaded a few times, changed a few things, ended up with a way better outcome, probably had a lot more land by now. And of course, I'm not against coming back and playing as the same countries in the future, with, successive updates and stuff and seeing how much further I can take them. I made a lot of mistakes in my other playthrough as Persia, and I'm hoping that I can step back and come back into that series after there's a few more episodes that are going to release. But I'm hoping to step back into that one, reattack it, and rectify the situation because I made some poor decisions over there. But enough about Persia. This is Land Fang. So I wasn't planning on killing one of those admin buildings, so I'm gonna see if I can increase it. I don't think I can. I'll probably have to build another one. Another thing I could do is either cancel a trade route or bump these down. I'm not going to bump that down, but you know what I can do is I can cancel that and see what each level costs us. Um, okay, so it's costing us 10. It's really not worth it to bump it down for the turmoil that we're currently experiencing. So I'll just rebuild another one. It's going to cost a little bit to build it, but that's okay. Okay. Um, oh, we actually had quite a lot lined up here. Get rid of that. That. We'll leave that one because we probably do need a port, but we probably won't build it yet. Okay. So that brought our budget down quite a bit. Construction goods are kind of expensive. Looks like iron, maybe. Let me look at that. I haven't dug very deep into it. I was just doing like surface level, uh, looking at kind of how we could cut this budget down. We did get it down almost 3K, but of course the unrealized taxes messed with us. So once that gets built, we should be closer to a negative 1K after we account for more interest. Um, Military wages are pretty high. We don't have any reason to keep the rank up high. The only reason I hate doing this is because it reduces just wages of people working, but I'm gonna do it. Wow. I don't know what's going on. That should have saved me 300, but it shifted it. Whatever. Oh, it must have accounted for that. That's fine. Um, but yeah, I don't like doing it because now there's 9,000 people with less money to spend, and that can affect the economy. It could also shift who's working here. Maybe less people will replace them. I don't know, but I don't like doing it really. So they're building small arms that'll make that cheaper for us, and then eventually, hopefully, we can get men of wars being built. Well, why are we using men of? Oh, that's the key market. Hang on. Sorry about that. You might probably hear it in the background. Someone's leaf blowing right outside my window, so I apologize for that. They don't uh they don't tell me when they're doing it, so really can't avoid it. All I can do is close the window and hope that it's not too loud. We do have a lot of influence. I was looking earlier. Spain, being our ally, does hate the Netherlands. It's very advantageous for us. So another thing I want to go for, probably not in this 30-minute span, is I want to expand into the Dutch East Indies. Maybe even take these two. Pontiac does have a genial attitude, so we'll have to deal with that later. But we could probably take Sambas or even West Borneo, and that would change the game for us quite a lot. There's not a lot of population, but in terms of resources and ways to develop it and more coastal land, that would be helpful. So, yeah, I think we'll use a little bit of that influence. France is cooperative with us, so that's what we're going to use it on. Um, Hopefully this isn't affecting us too much, and hopefully we're at the lowest point we're going to be at throughout the rest of the series, and we can improve upon it. Though I fear that there's going to be a lot of wars in China with Britain. We'll see. So we'll go from there. Like I said, we should be able to definitely withstand having this kind of debt for the next year, and then it'll go down by 9%. Especially once this is built, it'll be a lot better. Now we could go with laissez-faire again, and that would get a 25% reduction. That might be something we consider. And I was looking at our government itself, and we could potentially bring in the trade unions. And it was showing it earlier. I think if we kick out these guys, no, not those guys. It's maybe the industrialists, or I don't know. There was a combination in here that kind of worked with the trade unions. We could have gotten like compulsory schools or something. Right now, pretty much everyone but the trade unions is in the government. So we can pretty much pass anything we need to. We are pretty good on everything. The only thing I would like to see, like I said, is compulsory primary schools, but there's not a lot of support, and the industrialists are pretty powerful right now. And then, what was the other one? This one, going towards protected speech, would get us that extra technology, which would be kind of nice. But we need human rights for that, so that's going to have to wait. But we'll look at possibly laissez-faire just to dig us out of this hole. The only reason I don't want to do that really is I'm having kind of an issue with establishing companies, and this whole thing here is mostly because we were on laissez-faire. Every time we built or built a building, you had China buying it up. So we were supplying them with stuff, and then they would buy the companies that supplied themselves with stuff, and that would just rabbit hole into them having more and more power over us when we were trying to claw back some power. I think I'll take the paper mills building. Need a little bit of this GDP pop up. We did lose like almost 200,000 people from their war. Okay. Slowly getting better. Like most of this is from the interest alone. But I did look here with our population. Not there. Where's it at? That's. Oh, it's on the state. So I did look here. It was showing a projected migration of 28,000, and I think maybe because we bumped taxes up, we're seeing a lot less migration. I need the migration, or else we're gonna just constantly be at this lower portion. Yeah, see now I can pull in these guys if I wanted to, and we will. I think we're not passing a law right now, and if we can get something, oh, we don't want that. Um, and multiculturalism would be great. I don't think we're gonna get much from these guys, so we'll take the radical hit, and we'll switch back to just these. Okay. Our bureaucracy is doing better now. Our money has pretty much stayed the same. We did kind of get worse. We are working towards bankruptcy again, unfortunately. Not looking good, but I'm hoping if we have to declare it, it'll be the last time, and we can kind of build up from there. We'll build this port to help us export some stuff, and then we'll pause on our construction and let the private sector build up. They're focusing on tools, which is great. Like there's another war over here. Spain's army is pretty big. It's almost comparable, or it's a little better, I think, than the Netherlands. So 2,300 power projection. So we could mess with the Netherlands. I think they have 2,000. Okay, so the Netherlands has a slightly stronger army. This Spain has a slightly larger army. So right now is not a good time to really look at that. And yeah, I don't. We did what we could, and I think we're just gonna have to call it with a bankruptcy again. It's it's a pain, but what just happened? Yeah, let's just go with it. The biggest issue we get from a bankruptcy is that interest rate that is on. If I can find it. I think it's on this page. Yeah. So for the next 10 years, we have to really not go into debt because we essentially every year or every month it looks like we'll get a maybe a couple every couple months maybe we'll get a percentage point popped off on this. But yeah, it's 50% more loan interest rate, and this is gonna hurt us quite a bit. And then this doesn't really matter because we're not planning on war in the next 10 years with a poor sickly economy such as what we have. So we're gonna let the private sector build up. We have to bump these guys up again, and with that down, it might help with the migration attraction. It might not. Now we're maybe I can help it with a decree. We'll get rid of those again. Promote social mobility, and then we're gonna do a greener grass to try to help keep some of these people because it looks like there's a pretty bad exodus of people. 15K a year, not great. Actually pretty terrible. Yeah, we'll take 25% more migration. These two guys can fight. God, there's so many notifications all at once. Liberal movement. I'll take more loyalists, honestly, because there we go. That's better. I believe it makes every, yeah, it pretty much resets all of these too. So there we go. We'll get the education back up, get this hospitaling up, and we'll just hope that we can get this turmoil down. In fact, we'll go for the sky on the policing, and then they'll yell at us and have us decrease it later. Look at their building. They do have a very large investment pool, and that might be something we could afford to increase is construction. I'll do it. And honestly, it's going to be pretty slow going. We're going to be building up and letting the private sector kind of do most of it. Um, yeah, we can go up to standardized filing on this and get even more bureaucracy, build a little faster. We have military shipyards for, I guess, the Chinese market. I'm going to go up to paper bleaching, and then mechanizing these things should help the GDP quite a bit. We need to mechanize and use as much of these labor saving PMs as we can. And I believe we had too much alcohol before. Well, it's kind of a both situation. Really, market independence would be kind of nice in these depression. It might help the alcohol a little bit. Not really, but it'll help our trade buildings at least. A web of distrust. I'm not. I'd rather take the less radical route. Yes, bone china. We're just doing everything we can to produce more with less, since we have so many people trying to leave. We'll even take the explosives route here. We do we have a railway? I can't remember. We do. So I'm gonna start railing everything up. We're even gonna go with fishing trawlers. Right now, because right now we're essentially in the Chinese market, so everything we do is consuming from that market. And besides the railways, that's going to be, this might hurt our economy in the short term, but we'll find out. Um, yeah, I'll take more loyalists again. The only thing we've got going for us is our literacy rate. Everything else is just exploding in our face. Okay, we've at least gotten the annual migration down to 0 instead of negative 15,000. Some people are starving, and of course the turmoil is pretty booty. But hopefully that goes. It looks like it's trending downward very slowly. I mean, we really can't do much else except bump up military pay. That might help with a little more loyalists. Good. The private sector's finally eating into their investment pool. All we have is lead basically for resources. We have no more agricultural buildings. So I think the best thing we can do for our citizens would be build food industries so that they can have basically just grain coming in. Hi, Parker Sento. This is Victoria 3. It's a grand strategy game by Paradox Interactive. Essentially, you get to take control of any of these countries in the world. The game starts at 1836. Yeah, 1836 at the height of Queen Victoria. and it goes until 1936. It's sort of a economic management game where you get to just manipulate the buildings in each country. You produce goods and you can export, import. You also control the laws of everything. So power structures, economy, all the human rights and everything. Meanwhile, you're researching technology in production, military, and society, where you can sort of work your way down different techs as a priority, um, to kind of steer your country in the direction you want. So if you're worried about the politics side, you go towards society, and if you're just trying to go after a larger GDP, you can do that. There's also a military aspect to the game where you can conquer territory and expand. It's a really long-winded game. So far, I think I'm 4 hours into this one, maybe five. So you also deal with education, and you try to improve the lives of your citizens. I'm this tiny little country here, and my ambitions are to have this entire island. We'll see if I can do it. I don't think most of the people watching think I can. And based on the weird wars that we've had, that's what these graphs are, is GDP was going up really well, and then they had a war. War ended, and then a second war, and we haven't really recovered since that second war. But it's getting a little better. I think we're having a population issue right now. We're trying to entice people to live in our country, and we've successfully done that actually. So we're now getting 30,000 people projected migrating into our country, because now we have available jobs from our private sector investing. Interestingly enough, they're building arms industries. I'm not really sure who's buying these arms, but they're building them. I think that's, yeah, they're doing 3 of them. So here we can see input goods like steel, hardwood, and tools. Hardwood being cheaper as well as tools, but steel is a little expensive. So we could balance out that and help this company be more profitable by building steel. Because these guns actually are pretty cheap for the market, so I'm not sure why the private sector is building them, but what I'm going to do to help them is I'm going to export to the Japanese. Actually, I'll export to the Spanish. It's going to cause a convoy deficit, and we're going to go and build more ports. Okay. Our food industries are still suffering from very high import costs of iron. We might look at being able to pull in from the Prussian market. That's 100 units. The Sheik market and the British market. That should bring the cost of iron down and help us quite a bit. Of course, as we build, we're consuming stuff from our economy, so that's why this is going into the negative. But we're doing it in order to make this convoy number go up, which lets us trade out more and make more money. So we did just unlock baking powder. That's going to help our food industries produce more. So more groceries and less liquor. Just gonna, not great for the company per se, but more, it's kind of weird. Economics is weird like that. We're increasing supply hoping that demand follows, which is kind of backwards to what we see in a lot of reality. It's sort of a William whatever, a Keynesian approach to economics. William Maynard Keynes, that's who I was thinking of. But he essentially was proposing that government should intervene only to provide, well, not entirely, this is only partially correct, but they would provide infrastructure so that demand would follow. You know, build a railroad and a business finds a reason to use it, you know, rather than subsidizing the business to build the railroad and then handicapping all other businesses through monopolies. We're good on bureaucracy. How are we doing on all this? Looking good. Things fine. Again, we could go towards laissez-faire, but it looks like our population is very happy with interventionalism, and it's only growing in that direction. They're sort of leaning towards atheism as a state sponsored thing. It does give us more authority, but it does reduce the acceptance from religion. And I believe it goes from plus 15 to minus 10, so that's actually a minus 25 in total. I don't think that's a good move for us. Not when we want to be very accepting. Ultimately, what does this get us? Some human rights for that. We might need to focus a little bit on society tech and go for human rights just to kind of get closer to that. So I'll grab joint stock companies on the left here, get quinine, and then egalitarianism will be spread to us. Oh, and we're in debt, so hopefully we finish this very quickly. And there we go. So convoy's fixed, and we got a 500 interest rate. Not really sure why our economy slumped down. I'm not going to take the more expenses. What is going on? I mean, yeah, we did take 1,000 more from port, but and maybe 300 more, 400 more from. That's about right. Okay, so we're gonna slowly, and by slowly I mean immediately, uh, do some consumption taxes and raise taxes. We will back the taxes up in a bit, because we are trying to just reduce this radicalism, and raising taxes doesn't help reduce radicalism. Surprise. Can we stop asking about putting funds into things? We're broke, guys. And we can't afford to go into debt with our interest rate being 35%. Okay. Our GDP just kind of exploded by like 500K. So whatever happened is great. Government. Okay, there's been a political shift a little bit, looks like, because we had 100% righteous government and now we're at 90. So I'm not going to switch any of the parties right now. And we are going to increase with over time with the healthcare increasing. We're going to get a increase in standard of living, which is just going to encourage more migration as well. Why did we change colors? Interesting. And again, they're building more arms industries. It's really weird. Somehow this is now horribly unprofitable. I'm guessing King figured out how to get iron into the country. Now they're wanting bullets. Look at what we could export. We could get tea out the door, and it looks like Prussian would pay a lot, and as well as Britain. So we're going to export those. It said 0 convoys needed, but clearly that's not correct. Yeah, what's 0 for those? Well, this is a lot less profitable than any of these trade routes. I'm gonna pop this down. Like to keep our convoys in the positive. Okay, we've gotten turmoil down to 32%, which is good. It was at 48%. GDP's hovering around 2 million. Is the population increasing yet? No, we keep teetering between increasing and decreasing because of this tax situation. Maybe this bump up in health will help. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of the social mobility. We're pretty high on the literacy right now, and I'm gonna try to get another one of these taxes in because we have to get this under control, or it's gonna spiral again. We gotta get out of this debt. At least we're growing, barely. There we go. We'll take that 25% and maybe that'll help us get more people. And they're just doubling down on the same manufacturing. Gonna build two furnitures, and then I'm guessing, okay, we don't have enough infrastructure, so they'll probably build another railroad. At least I would when I run out of infrastructure. Hey, how's it going? It's the Polk here. Thanks for watching my playthrough as Lan Fang in Victoria 3. Stay tuned for more and subscribe if you liked what you saw. Also hit that like button. Have a great day.